Full-time score, Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a embarrassing performance from Chelsea. I'm going to be straight up. From the Robert Sanchez red card at the start to the choices that were made by Enzo Maresca subbing out the likes of Esteval and Pedro Neto. Palmer, he ended up going off, I believe, injured in like 21st minute. The whole game was just lost from that red card on. Chelsea were without confidence, without ideas, without any sort of cohesion or structure. They had more possession at the end of the game at 59%, but they only mustered 5 shots to United's 11. They only had an XG of 0.39 to United's 1.74. And quite frankly, I think that this is kind of like a wake-up call for Chelsea as a whole and probably Maresca. I think he is a bit out of his depth when it comes to maybe some of the tactics that he's deploying. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I get the concern of like, okay, we gotta shore up things. We're bringing off one of our wide players so that we could have, Philip Jorgensen in goal instead of Sanchez because he's off. And we're also going to bring in a center back. And then you're also going to take out an attacking mid for a defensive mid. It all just kind of seems a little too pragmatic, a little too fearful, and a little too bleh to get any sort of result. Like, not saying that if Chelsea kept Esteval or Neto or if Palmer didn't get injured, things would be different. They could be, but as soon as they went down to 10 men, that was kind of like, a wake-up call in terms of like, this game isn't going to be easy. This isn't going to be just a match where United roll over and effectively give Chelsea all 3 points. United very clearly wanted to, play their game, to apply pressure to Chelsea, to get that result, to get some confidence under their legs. And I'd say they looked significantly the better side up until Casemiro's red card, which was about like 5-7 minutes after his goal in the 37th minute. But he was sent off in the first half, and Chelsea couldn't capitalize really at all the whole game. They got a consolation goal late in the 80th from Chalobah, but that doesn't really mean much to me. That is literally just a consolation for consolation's sake. There wasn't really good service into the path of João Pedro, who's really the only attacker for Chelsea for vast periods of the game. I know Tyreek George came in, but from a United perspective, this has got to feel a little weird. You beat Chelsea. Sure, they had a man down, but for about half the game, you were down a man as well. But still, I don't think that's like all that much of a convincing win. I know Bruno was very happy. Credit to him. Congrats. Celebrate the wins, of course. But the performance wasn't that much better than I've seen in weeks and months past. There was some more maybe clinicality, more confidence from United. But this Chelsea side really just were looking very poor at several points throughout the game. They just lacked the kind of comfortability, I guess, to like be patient on the ball sometimes and not just try to kick it out every time, because that's what it, boiled down to. They didn't have many outlets, so they just kind of had to hoove it clear and hope that it got to somebody. That sometimes led to an interception or a block that would start another counterattack immediately. And while many of those counterattacks didn't necessarily materialize into something concrete, there was enough of them to where I was just thinking, yeah, this Chelsea side, they lack the depth off the bench to rotate continuously enough and consistently enough, because you're taking off Neto and Esteval for, the likes of like Tyreek George, and I don't even know who else you would have in the forward line. They have some injuries, right? Like, for sure. But even with players fit, like, who would you have brought on? Like Garnacho or Gittins? Like, they didn't even see a second of the pitch. So for me, it's a bit of a hodgepodge unit, this Chelsea side. This game as a whole, I think, will be one that they'll look to improve upon. For United, they'll be happy they got a result finally. They've moved up to the table into ninth place on 7 points. Chelsea sitting in 6th place on 8 points. They're going to both be looking to widen or close that gap depending on which club it is as the season progresses. But that's a big win for United. But for as far as things go for me from a Chelsea perspective, I feel like this should be a wake up call of like, hey, maybe the center backs we have aren't that great. Maybe Maresca isn't necessarily on the money all the time with the subs, because it really felt to me like he not in a million years would have guessed that Robert Sanchez makes that kind of mistake, which, it is like a dumb error. It is stupid for sure. And I think all the blame lies squarely on the goalie there. But at the same time, like, you should probably account for how your team's going to play with 10 men and for situations like this exactly. How they would play with Jorgensen, how they would do this, how they do that. Obviously, he's a manager, I'm not. He gets the final say. And in terms of like what he's brought to Chelsea, it's definitely more than I've ever done for a club. But at the same time, I think criticism is more than deserved for him today, because these subs, the tactics, just everything around the game today, it was very like loserish to me. Like they just like Chelsea's usually a team that's very formidable, and I know they have a very bad track record at Old Trafford over the last like 10, 12 years, but come on, man. Like if you're subbing off all your forwards, all your creative players, and really just only hoping to God that somehow you're going to get some service to Joao Pedro, who's isolated up top, like you're asking for it at that point. You're literally just in a position where you might as well just like you're asking for defeat. You're just ready to basically throw in the towel at that point, because you are totally just cutting out your midfield. And there was points where Chelsea looked better, but not enough for them to get anything sort of like a result. As far as today goes, United, they look decent. They didn't look fantastic either. This game was really just crappy. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't like it at all from any sort of perspective. The goals weren't that entertaining. There wasn't too much drama, really. And the drama that there was felt like they were just dumb reds, Casemiro should have been sent off. I'll let you decide. For me, it's just like, why would you have the referee be given an opportunity to make a decision like that? So probably, yeah, he should be sent off because he was already on the yellow and he just made a dumb tactical foul and kind of was pulling on somebody already before he won the ball, but before he puts in that challenge. So yeah, honestly, a really annoying game to have to watch, specifically because I was hoping that United would also drop points today. But can't count on Chelsea to just make the seemingly easy, seem incredibly difficult. But that's all. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new. Like if you enjoyed. Comment down below with your thoughts on Manchester United versus Chelsea. Man United 2, Chelsea 1, full-time score. Hope you enjoyed the video and the stream today. I'm Sideline Sato. Peace.